Well, I've got to say good evening, everyone. I say good morning for me. It doesn't look, my face doesn't look like it's a good morning to be fair. But wow, yeah, not a natural wake up. This one, very nice, deep sleep again. Just not enough of it, blooming heck. So yeah, I'll leave you to take the mickey out of that one. But there we are. So I'm currently in Okayama at the minute, city. So arrived in Tokyo. Actually spent the day there. It was nice. Don't often do that. Rented a car and drove out to Saitama, which is about an hour outside of Tokyo. And yeah, that was a trip to Minima Koi Farm, where it's been a pretty long while since I last went, first and only time. And yeah, it's phenomenal. If you don't know, Minima is Goshki specialist. My God, you're a proper specialist as well. So really, really, really enjoyed that. And he just, when he gets into it like he did, the guy just obsessed with fish and got a killer eye for it. So he yeah, got, showing us loads of different fish he's producing. We discussed, showing him some of the things I've got stashed around, and just a really pleasant afternoon all around that one. So yeah, that was good, and managed to get a few bits from there, which was cool. And then back there, that stayed there that evening, and then yeah, up in the morning and the train to 3.5 hour train from Tokyo to Okayama, where I am now, which becomes a bit of a base for the traveling out. So as we arrived yesterday, I got another car first of all, and then I've drove straight out to the one and only Sakai, which was insane. That's about an hour and 40 drive from Okayama. And then yeah, from Sakai we went to Sakai Company, which is, yeah, Sakai Company is the Sakai family, the same one. It's the uncle that left the main operation. For those of you who don't know, so yeah, a lot of similar characteristics in the fish there. And I think a few people mistake it for possibly being a cheap and watered down version of Sakai. It certainly is watered down in the sense that it's nowhere near on the same scale. But yeah, price wise, yeah, it's not very watered down at all. But there's some great fish, really great fish there, about 20-minute drive away from the main Sakai operation. And yeah, managed to, which is a fish I'm going to share with you in a bit actually, managed to bag a Ginrin Sanki for the client who was with me. And my God, I mean, this is, I think, going to be a serious all Japan caliber piece with a very, very rare Sumi characteristic. So I've actually got a few pictures of that uploaded to share with you in a little bit, which would be cool. And then yeah, the drive back from there, which is about was it last night? About 2 hours 15, I think, or 2 hours. Can't quite remember. Did a lot of it, and yeah, that was that day wrapped up. So this morning we got quite a busy day planned because, as it happens, I had a fish introduced to us from Odakan, and I've actually just seen a question. A guy from Odakan, which I'll get in a minute, but yeah, Odakan's a breeder, sorry, dealer who he does breeding as well, but he's primarily a dealer. And yeah, he's introduced a Sakai Nisa, absolutely mind blowing for the client. So got to shoot back there this morning on the route I'm on, and then on from there to Omasako, which, yeah, if I went straight to Omasako, you're talking just about 2 hours 20, something like that. And then back from there up via Fukuyama, and yeah, back into Okayama. Madness. But yeah, got it all quite well planned. It's like a military operation. And then exciting day coming Friday, getting the train to Nagoya, and then getting picked up by Hiroshi Mano of Dainichi Toyota. He's just taking us out to his farm. It's about a 40-minute drive away to see the the ever increasing stash of fish there. So can't wait for that one. and then it's going to be back to the station and up to Niigata, which yeah, can't wait for. So there you go. There's the rundown on that one, guys. Feel free to start dropping some questions in if you like. Take the opportunity to answer any Japan ones, seeing as we're on a Japan Live special. And yeah, from there, I've got coming close. Obviously mentioned it last week. Towards the end of the video, I'm going to just play the snippet that we've got, take 5 minutes out, and then I know it seems like it, buddy, but I'm not going to defend it, to be fair. But it's a lot of trekking around, especially while your body is fighting the time zones and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it is enjoyable stuff. Yes, Daryl, I will see you, Shiro, mate, and cannot wait. A couple of dreamy ones down there, yours being one of them. So yes, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, just on about. So the NND Kohaku Grow Out event with Sunnybank Koi is coming up this Sunday. I believe it is. Just checking my dates. Yes, that's it. Sunday, I think it's scheduled for 10 o'clock. And yeah, not to be missed, 495 quid for a toe side that they're already measuring in. Well, they're now about 7 months old. I think 6-7 months they're in that territory, and they've got fish in there up to 29 centimeters. It's just bonkers. And yeah, I think it's great, you know, that they're here at such an early age. This NND Kohaku line is stunning, and if you've not seen it, I have got the little video in here again. And just to sort of highlight a few bits for you, you'll want to be looking for. Just bear with me. Oh, there we go. Too far down. So there we go. That's the fish that are selected out. You can say very, very young. The Benny is relatively thin at this point. And because they've obviously had such huge growth rate, it's so young, the colour is actually still progressing upwards massively at the minute. So that's one point to bear in mind, because you're looking at a fish that seems older because of the size of them. And then like the hue of the Benny isn't absolutely popping yet either. Again, it's because of the age. They've not been subjected to a lot of colour food yet, which is perfectly normal. And then the body wise, obviously they're not absolutely popping with volume, again, because of the age. They've done that process that they're kind of stretched out, which is where you need to be looking now more at the bone structure of the fish, because that's the indicator there of what is to come. And yeah, these are just going to be beasts. I mean, there's only these fish, a few other NND bits, you know, Sankey's, and a couple of Kohaku I bought outside of these, all in this pond. I think there's about 30 pieces altogether. So in one of the 1200k ponds growing through to the end of March, they are going to be beefing, and they will make that price they're at look even more ridiculous than it is now, to be honest with you. He's done a great deal with them, and like I say, with that growing through, they're just going to be insane, and the transformation. So yeah, if you are in a position, it'll be a great one to get involved in. They're available on the Sunnybank Koi website. The first come, first serve on checkout with that one, and well worth it. But like I said, done a full video, about 5-6 minutes long, which I'll play towards the end for you folks. Yeah, so you're lacking on questions tonight, gang, I must say. Let me see what we've got. Well, I've got a fair bit to rattle about, if not. Matt, when picking 2-year-old Shisui, how much more changing do you think they will do? I know in the past you said Tosai Shisui can change a lot. Yeah, so I think it's always important to remember that Shisui will naturally darken with age. So it is a natural process. It's going to happen. So don't get them too dark at that point. A little bit lighter on the background color more than anything. And Benny as clean as you can possibly get it. And yeah, just don't for Benny can still come up because they're very closely linked to Asagi. So it's one of those few varieties in the Kawakami ones I've got, for example. It's only now that the Benny is coming up in the fins and around the cheeks, like it does with Asagi as well. So do bear in mind that can happen. But yeah, the biggest bit there is like with Asagi, they will naturally darken. So it's really, really important to make sure that you're just getting them as light as possible. That's the best advice I can give you on that one. And then, yeah, I mean, the big thing with Shisui is the scale line on the back. It doesn't have to be, but one of the dreamy characteristics is to get a full, very nice uniform line, the scale line from the back of the head right down to the peduncle. So, yeah, amazing. If you can get that, it's not in every one, and not every example suits it. You get some where the scale line's different, but they're very, very quirky and pan. Then you move all the way now to the Korsui that they've bred, where they remove that scale line altogether, which is a pretty cool variety when you see it. Eric, you're just about to subscribe to the magazine. Yes, amazing. Thank you very much for that. Was that Oda Ken you was at in a recent video netting Kohaku? Oh no, so that recent video is the NND one. That's actually Fujo Umo from NND. He has got a great sense of humor, wicked sense of humor, in fact. And yeah, he's not actually mentioned the welly, Arthur, again. So maybe I have got away with that one for now. But my God, he wasn't happy that day. And to be fair, I cut the real harsh stuff out of the video. He was giving me a bollocking. It was quite funny, but as I told him, it was a daft place to be stood without his waders on. Brilliant. Question: if you could pry a fish out of a dealer's prized possession while you're at, what would it be? And do you have a pic of it? What dealer also? Yeah, I suppose it depends what comes up, but there is a fish. NND have got a Shiro Sori. Not only is it the best one right now, I think it's potentially the best one that they've ever bred from the DK line. And I've been having a lot of conversations about that fish, a hell of a lot. So fingers crossed when I get there, I can get it over the line. But yeah, not an easy process, folks. It's I was actually laughing with this with the client yesterday. You know, it's like this game at times is just hilarious. You know, you want to chuck bucketfuls of money at these guys at times and actually begging them to give it to them. But yeah, and they just hold out. It's fascinating. But yeah, this one's pretty special. I'd say it's gonna take a bit of work. So fingers crossed I can do it because it's dream stuff. I shared it a couple of episodes back, I think, after they just posted it, and I was actually already aware of it before. And yeah, the best bit was he introduced it to me, and Fujo introduced the fish to me. I thought, oh, game on, yeah, and then said, oh no, sorry, it's not for sale. Crazy stuff. There we go. Jonathan, what is the youngest age Tosai are shipped, and what time of year is best to get those in the UK? Yeah, it really depends. So I start really early, getting stuff in, like you can see with the NND shipment and the Issa Tosai I've had in this year, loads of them. So you have got that point when they come in. Do you remember, was it the 1st of November? So yeah, around about that 6 months, you know, they can be 5-6 months old coming in. It's probably the earliest they'll be. A lot of it can start straight after the harvesting towards the end of October. So I think it's sort of like the first week of October is the earliest I've ever had the new season Tosai come in. And yeah, I mean, generally they're ready after quarantine, which with us is a month period, getting nice and strong. Back then, I actually kept them quite a bit longer just to make sure they were strong. And, you know, we tried multiple times to get them exposed and laid over with sleeping sickness in case it was there. So, yeah, that's the youngest really, but you can get them within the same year as we're doing now with the NND stuff. The Issa showers have gone out to quite a few dealers. So yeah, that's where they're at really. And yeah, thanks guys, you're firing them in now. Happy days. You can see we've got NND Koak and Sankey in the pond. We're happy, very happy with the Sankey. Very, very good. I insinuate from that you're not happy with the Koaku though. Eddie Robinson, without going to Japan, has anyone tried learning the language via an online course? Any recommendations? Yeah, there's quite a good app. In fact, I have a play around with it. Arthur has a play around with it more than me. Duolingo, it's called. It's pretty cool. Just sat on your phone to have a play with. To be fair, I had some lessons, never really consistently with a tutor. So I kind of typical thing. As soon as I grasped the basic content of context of sentence structuring, I've then left this place to the rest of it. To be fair, and I find it just quite useful. So I was explaining to somebody the other day. It just seems to be every time I'm stuck in a situation, or maybe stuck needing to use a word a lot, you find it and find out what that word is just through using my phone or something. And for me, anyway, it seems to just stick really, really well. So yeah, there we go. Julius, thoughts on JPD line of food? I've been looking for an upgrade of feed, but can't afford sake. That's fair enough, Julius. To be honest with you, the only other ones I've generally ever mentioned, Takazumi, I believe, is a good food. I have used it in the past, way back. And yeah, I do think it's a good all-round food, certainly at that price point. It's a unique recipe, which I like. It's not just one made under thing; it's made under their control. It's a good product. It is a good product. And then, yeah, Evolution Aqua Grow Food. If you're after a grow food, I forget to mention that one. I had quite a spell of using that, to be honest with you, and that is impressive stuff. Again, with that, for me, it was frustrations that there's no other diets in the range that gave me what I wanted from a professional level, i.e., a specific color diet or anything like that. And they only made it in a 6 ml pellet, which was also frustrating because I use a hell of a lot of small pellet, so it's just not something I could commit to. But I think you'd find either of those acceptable. But yeah, I'm not a huge JPD fan, to be fair. Alan, can you breed Tamasaba in 20-inch deep water? Yeah, absolutely. Tamasaba would breed anywhere when they get started. There's no stopping. So, yeah, there you go. Give it a shot, but they will definitely do it, Alan, for sure. Dale, Ricky, have you ever considered moving to Japan with the family? If so, would you become a breeder or work for a breeder? If so, who other than ND? Yeah, I don't think, to be fair, have I considered it? No, not as a permanent thing. That's for sure. But yeah, who knows what will happen in future with bits and bobs. But we've got I've got a lot going on at home. So even the fact it's home, I've got all the fish farm there and business and stuff going on. But yeah, ever increasing sort of time needed to spend out here. So yeah, not quite sure where we'll take life in future. Maybe a bit of hybrid living. Who knows? I certainly think as often be he's going to want to be here as much as possible as well. But yeah, we'll see. But no, I don't think I would. Work experience with a breeder is nice for a period, but the way my head's wired, I'm not quite sure I could work for anybody. To be fair, a bit too institutionalized in that way now, but yeah, it is nice from that teaching perspective, like when I'm with the guys at NND or any that I can, to get them learning experiences in, to be fair. And it's, yeah, a nice bit of an escape for me as well at the minute, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that one, Dale. Stocking question. Here we go. Craig, with regards to growth, what stocking density do you recommend for a hobbyist? My pond is 2,000 gallon, 5'5" deep, 2.8 by 2.2 meters. Currently have 7 small koi up to 30 cm and one being overwintered. I recall reading somewhere 3. Oh, great. I'm not sure you've ever been on one of these episodes where I get provoked with a question like that, Craig, to be fair. Yeah. I need to take a minute to compose myself. I think I've seen that same thing where 300 gallon per koi was mentioned, and I think I threw my telly out the window when I saw that. It's yeah, crazy. No, that is not it. Your stocking level will ultimately, everybody's pond will be governed most by the amount that you feed, not the amount of koi as you get. So, I mean, 2,000 gallon pond. So, let me give you an example. I am Kanogoshki currently growing incredibly well in a 1,500 gallon pond, and they have, I think at the minute there's about 40 fish in there, around getting on for 40 centimeters now. So, or 35, 30, 35 maybe. I'm not actually quite sure, but they're a decent size. And we started off with about 150 in there because that's important that you have enough in there to whittle them down. But like I say, that pond is governed by it. So you're running a bottom drain, skimmer into drum, bio UV, and back into the pond. You're all governed by that. The capacity your filtration's got for food, because your growth is going to ultimately come down to the amount that you can feed. And yeah, that's the one. So, and that's why I keep saying, a calculation on one fish per watt is the biggest load of bollocks waffle I've ever heard. You just can't base it on that, because that will change so much depending on the amount of food going in. I could stock that pond wall to wall with fish. I've kept toe size, so 12 to 15 cent, 350 pieces in 400 gallon ponds, just for toast, just for quarantining with feeding, just not growth feeding. If I started trying to grow feed that tank, you just trash the water in hours. That would be where that's at. So it's a different beast. But those 1,500 gallon ponds, where they probably compared to yours, we've got brushes for mechanicals. So you've got a drum. You're more efficient at waste removal in that respect. But I've got 300 litres of K1 in a big fluid bed filter in that, which I'm guessing you're possibly nowhere near. And that's a hell of a lot of extra capacity for the feeding. So yeah, I stress it, guys. And there are ways, when you understand the feed potential. And I'm not up to date with all the recent K1 figures, but a lot of these medias will give a maximum feeding load per day that they can handle and process, and that'll give you an idea there of what you can potentially feed into the pond that you've got. So, but it's the only way to be gauging a stocking level, not through amount of fish in the slightest. And like I say, that will change, because that's the big thing that I have, is I start these ponds off with heavy stocking levels, but the feeding is probably never gets any higher, or it gets higher, but we reach a point where I just can't feed anymore. So, and I know the pond won't handle anymore, but it's nothing to do with the amount of fish. Ultimately, that's different resources that they consume, oxygen being the one in particular. So at that point, it's just a case of reducing the stocking level down, but maintaining the feeding. So it is a feed increase, just done in a different way. But always the baseline, how much food you can feed is the one. So there you have it. But yeah, good question, Craig. What would you feed a Nisai Mariton Yukisagi to keep good form and a bit not massive growth? 3 mil pellets. Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I'm presuming that's not a fish isolated on its own. But yeah, I mean, just if you have to keep in good form, it depends what temperature you're at. If you're just maintaining near 18 degrees, you could feed some sake balance. The size of the pellet depends on the size of the fish as well. So yeah, I need a bit more information there to be honest. But yeah, I'm guessing, if it's in this side, the kind of size I'm thinking, you would feed a medium pellet to that. So around anywhere between sort of 5 and 6 mil. And just to keep it in good form, it depends on the food, but something like a sake balance would do that quite nicely. And yeah, what would be your fish of choice so far this trip? I must say the Ginrin Sankey, I'm sharing some, not the full picture, but the detailed pictures of it from Sakai Company today. Yeah, there's just you don't see many Kinrin Sanki around, especially ones of this level. Very, very rare beasts. Why another visit so close? Yeah, Charlie was, the wife was asking me that one. What are you looking forward to this time? Everything really, just getting about. But yeah, this reason is I've got a client who likes to come this time of year, so that's the main reason that I'm here. You've got a lot of fish to check on, looking for some new pieces as well. But yeah, most looking forward to probably again seeing this NND Shiro, because it is freaking mind blowing, and probably the visit Dainichi Toyota. I'm really looking forward to. Don't get there all the time, because again, coming out to this area, it's a lot of trekking around. I don't do it all the time because you have to get it really right. It's a lot of expense getting around this area, and koi availability is not always the best. But yeah, like I say, last time I didn't go because all my fish hadn't been harvested, but I know everything's there now, ready and waiting to see. And there's some phenomenal bits up to 75 cm, I think, on the biggest end already. There's a few of them kicking around. So yeah, excited for that one. It's a great place. Hiroshi's a great guy, and yeah, that's not far away now on Friday for me. Sam, hi Ricky, building a 2.8 meter diameter round pond next to 320 with a gravity fed. Not sure how to do the return. Is it best to have a round flow for growing? No, I would just return straight across still. So even though it's a round pond, I would just come one end and be firing that water straight across the surface or mid-water, whatever you want to do, certainly across the surface. So yeah, there you go. I'd be no different. The shape of the pond, that my concept would still be the same there. You don't just want them in a massive vortex. Ooh, good question, Lee. Hi, Ricky. When selecting Koraku, how can you tell if a pattern is going to break or join together? And how can you tell if Sashi and Kilo will tighten up and not stay too deep? Yeah, so let's take bit by bit there. Pattern breaking or joining together. This is something I think a lot of people really get misled by, in truth. Pattern breaking or going to break when they're close. Yeah, I mean, most things, if your pattern's that close that you're questioning whether or not it's going to be a break, it might not actually be all that much. So what you might tend to find is, yes, it will, as the kind of sashi that's close to that what looks like a join tightens. You'll get some refinement and a bit of a break, but it's never going to be a massive visual change. It's going to be very, very subtle at that point. And joining together is even rarer. That'll only often happen. You can get some super thick color in young fish as it spreads into the scales. It joins a couple of pieces together, but this stuff is rare. Examples of it are rare in truth, and like I say, I think a lot are very, very misled by it, to be honest. And yeah, sashi and ki will tighten up and stay too deep. Yeah, so sashi depth. Ki was not about depth. Depth is sashi. Sashi is a good indicator of the color in the deeper layers of skin, which is important moving forward, especially if you're selecting toe side, to know that there's going to be some play there. And you just want it about a scaled depth is a general rule. You've just got to remember that can change depending on different benny types. So a thicker, richer benny type can often produce a bigger sashi, which is normal because there's so much depth. There's just stronger coloration in the deeper layer of skin. I do tend to see that a lot. And yeah, consistent. The biggest thing to know whether it will tighten up is the consistency of it. So as it goes across the pattern, you want it the same depth there, and then every other further down of the pattern, you want it a consistent depth. If at any point you've got a bit that's deeper, that is a bit of concern. That 9 times out of 10, I'd say 9.5 times out of 10, never actually refines up. Well, to be honest with you, with sashi as well, you're never going to truly know or get the finished stuff in most fish until they get big, because growing is a big part of refining the sashi as well, to be honest with you. So yeah, I hope you find that. key were tightening up, yeah, it does tighten, but in what happens with key, if the key was not great, and when I say not great, it's important it's as great as possible at any point, because it's not something that, say, necessarily tightens, but you can get some areas where the colour's not spread too well, so it's not quite as refined. And what will tend to happen is that if there's a lot of pigment in the cells, it can spread out into that scale more, and then cause and create more refinement in it. So I hope that's useful, Lee. Hutch, what's the most expensive koi you bought from a dealer, and what variety was it? What was the biggest feature for spending? Yeah, I'm not going to give specifics on that, but the most expensive fish I bought is at Dainichi Toyota, actually, a Kohaku out of the auction last year, along with a Showa, to be fair, but the Kohaku won it by quite a bit of margin. And yeah, I think, to be fair, it's just one of them. When I saw it, I thought, I knew the parent fish stronger it was from. That's a fish that is currently 101 cm. Might be bigger now, to be fair. She was 101 last year. Just had this super imposing head. It was just insane. And the body line of it. And when I actually saw this fish, not only were all the qualities and the pattern exceptional, she was carrying exactly the same bone structure as the parent fish. And when I thought that, I thought, well, that right there, that's a fish that can go that distance. It's got the right setup. The genetics are clearly there, and it can do it with all the other quality it's got. So that was the one for me there. Knowing it's got that quality, it's a brand that should ever want to sell it, people are going to want it. But the fact of, I know there's a 90 plus potential fish in there. I think, providing that it stays alive, she'll get there. So yeah, that was that biggest feature, to be fair. It's got to have all the qualities, that's a given, but knowing that parent fish and the genetics behind it made it a lot easier to justify in that regard. Has Tucano got children that will continue his lineage? Would be a shame if not, because those sank in your video the other day. You were top draw. Yeah, they are top draw, but no, he has got kids, but none of them are interested in koi. I'd say it's not like they're looking at a business to inherit, because he doesn't consider it as a business. It's a hobby. So yeah, absolutely zero interest in koi. And you're right, it is ultimately one of those lineages that I say die out. I think you'll find other people take those parent fish on, but whether they maintain it at the level he does, possibly not. So yeah, fingers crossed the wily old fox keeps going for a bit longer. Hi Ricky, a lot of stuff about treatments online at present. Can you tell us what parameters you would do for the common issues, i.e. fluke treat, costia, white spot? Also, do you still feed when treating? No, I always stop feeding when treating. Certainly depending on the treatment, there'll be a preparation of starvation beforehand as well, which is important for really safe treating. But yeah, a lot of that. I mean, flukes is a tough one to really go into. I think I've mentioned before, preparation's really key with fluke treatments. It's a tough one with that, because I think a lot of the fluke treatments are not adequate enough in regards to the strength of them. But it's really important that you don't underdose too much. That is for sure. And yeah, I mean, a lot of the ones you've got praziquantel based, flubanol based are the big treatments for flukes, to be honest with you. But the regime, a lot can be metabolized by the pond within 24 hours. And a lot of packets, will state that you need a 7-day treatment window between, when in reality you could probably dose most of them 24 hours later. I have done that. And the treatment regime we kind of helped establish was the treat full on day 1, 50% day 2, 50% day 3 on the fluke treatments, just to help keep a level enough in the water to actually get the job done. But yeah, like I said, preparation for any treatment beforehand is important, especially with getting waste out of the system, which will have a big impact. Trick is always potassium. It's the most effective one, dead easy. You can use potassium to treat costia as well, but you've got to get the dosage right, and it's a stronger treatment to be playing around with if you're not experienced. So be careful with that. But other than that, yeah, Costia, I tend to use Alprex. Really like the stuff. You've got to make sure you've got a good KH, good stable KH level. But yeah, that always seems to do the job. It's pretty good in the fact that, you know, Costia is quite aggressive on the skin and the slime coat, and the acroflavin in there being so strong is really, really helpful for that. So yeah, there we go. And then white spot, some always something formalin based, and the typical one is a malachite and formalin mix. But for me, it's useless without the formalin. That's the one that really goes in and destroys the white spot properly. So yes, there you go, mate. That's as much as I can give you on that one without spending a full hour on it, which I could quite easily do. Oh, here's me, mate. This, you see, this is one of my school friends, Neil, and also my Sparky. He won't mind me saying, so tell him all the time. He's an absolute prize. Decided to start leeching on with the odd comment, trying to provoke me every week. So cheers, Neil. I'll phone you and give you some abuse when I'm back home, mate. Done a cracking job at lights on my garage, though. Cheers, pal. Chris Brand, I reckon got myself a Marihiro Super Red Karashi Goi. What are the genetics of these? If you know, bud, it's 45C. Yeah, Marihiro does not reveal much on that front, but what I can tell you is the Hirasawa family in general only ever use parent fish within their own breeding. That's something they are phenomenal at. They're just self-sustaining. They've got such an understanding of how to produce varieties, and they have just got so many fish within their own ecosystem that they don't really need to be introducing foreign blood. And I can't imagine any of them spending the money on it, to be fair. But yeah, this is just what they do. You know, Maria, I think, you know, as he's doing spawnings, he just keeps random looking stuff, and he's always got something there that he uses and knows how to use it to create other varieties. But yeah, I can't I would say very much it's their own lineage, this stuff. And especially Marihiro takes a lot of the original stuff, like he did the Chagoi, and made the Hirasawa Chagoi, which is their family line, and then also tinkered with that as well. So they're clever breeders. It's a serious operation, that, and got the utmost respect for what they do. Michael, bought a 3-step diet going Jumbo Tosai Festival, itching to know how it's doing. Yes, buddy, they've got the guys photographing it, so I'll be sending them out when I get back. But yeah, phenomenal. If it's the one I'm thinking, I can't remember the exact size. I know they're cracking on for mid-40s, the majority. I think I committed myself there now, but yeah, looking great, buddy. We'll hopefully have those pictures and videos next week. Nicholas and Santiago, hello. First, I would like to thank you for your videos. Absolute pleasure. I learned a lot, and because of your videos, I got myself a pond. Now that makes me super, super happy. Really, really does. Buzzing for that. It's 19 by 6 by 4, around 9,000 gallons. How many adult koi you have? How many I have? Yeah, I've got a lot of fish, buddy. To be fair, I'm not sure if you're referring to your own stocking level there. If you want to clarify it a little bit, I'll answer more. But adult koi I have is lots, would be my answer, but it depends how you define adult as well, presuming a size class. So if you want to give me a bit more info back in the comments, I can come back to that one. But yeah, buzzing to hear that inspired you to get a pond. That's amazing. ANC, will secondary Benny ever disappear? That comes up in a Tosai. It can do. It can do. It depends if it's been a reaction to some food that you're using or some particular colour enhancers in it. It could be. So yes, it can, is the answer on that one. Oh, that's it. Just going back to earlier, merits. Sorry, he's about 35 semi, 15 degrees in a tank with 4 others indoor. Wouldn't have him on his own. Rookie mistake. Not giving all the info. No, that's cool. Yeah, 15 degrees. I mean, I see that's a bit of a waste, that temperature, in truth. If you are paying for heating, I would personally be looking to crank it up to 18 or take it down to 12. So if you take it down to 12, you want more of a winter or a lower food. something like sake multi-season, just generally something that's lower fat. And then if you are going up, like I said, sake balance I mentioned would be a perfect food for that one. So I hope that helps. What causes a shimmy? Will they disappear? Is there prevention? Are they like a zit? Can you pop it or flick it off? Yeah, actually, sometimes you can even get certain shimmies sat in the surface of the skin that much. You can just get them out with your fingernail, which is interesting. But yeah, what causes it? We still don't know, in truth. But one of the big things we see is I see they are more specific to certain Benny types, and that being, or certain lineages can produce it as a characteristic. Some of that can go back to knowing if there's potentially Sankey in the origins of the line as well. But yeah, I see the very intense Bennies are quite susceptible to it as well. So and then different waters, again, as ever, and different water makeup will cause some issues here as well. And that's not just hard or soft, because that's a load of bollocks. It's actually how that water is made up that will have that impact. Keith, hi Ricky, next season I'll mainly have Sanzai. Do I reduce protein levels in the food and concentrate on colour balance, or can I continue growth? Yeah, I find that, because I do know where you're coming from there, Keith. I hear that banded around all the time, and it drives me bonkers. Carry on with the growth, mate. Carry on. There's just no reason to stop with that unless you're moving out of growth into conditioning. So, you know, Sanzai, they're only young fish still. And, you know, every summer they need protein and the fat. That's what they do. It's a natural part of the process to want that to build body, build growth, and yeah, get them fat levels up ready for a winter coming. That's a natural part of the process. So yeah, I wouldn't ever stop with the growth, say, unless you're moving just to a conditioning phase, but still very young fish, mate. Gary, you need to get a recipe of favorite Japanese dish to sell at an event. Sure, would all love it. I do actually make a pretty mean katsu curry, to be fair. It's took a lot of work over years perfecting that one, but it's a bit of a pain in the arse to make, mate. So I don't think I'd ever manage to batch it up enough for one of the events. Yeah, this and another question left, guys, and then I'm going to get on to the couple of bits that I've got. So Ricky, with Dainichi known for their power in their fish, what fish did they add parent wise that introduced this characteristic? Yeah, the Dainichi stuff, I've got the information, but this goes so far back. The Dainichi has been its own line now, sustainable from inbreeding, to be fair. But sustaining them characteristics and not letting them get the blood too close, a bit of outbreeding every now and again, and bits and bobs as well, which is why it's so famous, like with Sakai, because they maintain those characteristics. So way before I was into koi, way before most of us was into koi, to be fair, was that established. And yeah, not something I could get without looking up, but even knowing that those old lineages of specific fish, we don't get to see that information. So yeah, there we go. But yeah, so that's it. Is a Dainichi characteristic, and it may just be that it's been developed over time as well. You know, I've heard from Takano that you know, Sakai was founded on, and I still don't know if it's completely validated. The very original Sakai line way back was founded on Matsunosuke, and then but that, you know, that trait, his Matsunosuke is not known for body at all, and Sakai is now. So you know, what they start with and where they end up is just the result of selective breeding a lot of the time. So it might not relate back to any of those original fish, just more, you know, over time that might have been developed, because ultimately they've got to establish some base qualities first. Dylan, hope you're well, Ricky, mate. Willis, you want to be back in stock? Yeah, so we're working really hard on some magazine stuff at the minute, to be fair. It is on the list to get back in again, along with some of the others. The big one I'm doing, which I'm quite excited about, I believe is coming off for the January issue. Binders and been posted out today, I believe, with the current issue we're on. But yeah, the next one, I've actually been working on a redesign of all the internal pages, which I can't wait to share with all you guys who are sub to it and buy it. And yeah, a few more little tweaks along the way, certainly coming over the next few months, which I think everyone will be quite impressed with, along with a load of other stuff. So yeah, it'll be coming, mate, again for sure. Oh, there you go, January. So yeah, can't wait to share them ones with you. AJ, what are you doing awake, mate? 9:45. Blooming heck. What is my favourite koi? Well, I think you're sure up sorry, mate. NND is my favourite koi, but you're not selling me, are you? Just absolutely not having it. So there we go. Happy days, mate. And I'm missing you here with me. So not be long before you get back again, buddy. Last one now. Oh no, sorry. Let me just come back to Nicola. I apologise for my wording. My question was having a 9,000 gallon pond. What is the most adult koi above 50% I can have in it? Yeah, there you go. So the big thing with that, like I just said earlier, is that your pond will be governed. Ultimately, the stocking level will be governed by the amount of food. That's where it's at. So it'd be more knowing what filtration levels you've got on it, and finding out from there what that would enable you to feed. And then you can even go as far as roughly calculating from an estimated body weight, how many fish at a certain size you might have to be able to give them X amount of percentage of body weight feeding per day. So it can all be done. It can all be calculated. It just takes a bit of doing depending on the medias you've got and the data available, to be fair. Morning, Ricky. After learning so much in the trade over last year, I've seen footfall drop in the winter. Can hobbies still buy koi in these months? What would be your advice to them? Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, the weird thing is, moving fish around when it's cooler is always better than when it's warmer, in truth. And you can settle fish into ponds quite well. The issue is if everything goes absolutely perfectly well when you move fish unheated this time of year, it's fine. But it's if there's the stress event of doing it becomes too much, or they don't mix well with the other fish in the pond, at that point you're going to have the issues. An issue. It can be helped with the use of salt, as it would anyway in the summer. It's just the recovery from these things can take a lot more time. So yeah, it's not an ideal scenario, but it's doable. But likewise, more and more dealers, I think, and we're seeing this anyway, overwintering being provided by more and more dealers everywhere, which enables you guys to make the most of a lot of good new fish coming through at this time of year. And yeah, you get it there ready for spring. So yeah, absolutely. And I think, the interest is always there. I think you guys would agree there's nothing better than buying new fish when you can, and there's just a lot happening. With so many like those different toast-eye releases and bits and bobs this year, a lot going on. So yeah, I think it depends on that. But like I say, it's movable. You can move fish around all the time. It's just understanding, what can go wrong and what you're going to do if it does go wrong. And that's just the issue when it's cold. Is if it's a stress from mixing or something like that, viral, not necessarily going to kill the fish. It's just the recovery is going to be so much slower because you're not going to get a very good natural immune response from the fish. So yeah, I hope that sheds a bit of light on that one. Right, guys, bit of koi appreciation. Then I'm going to share with you the video, which you may well have seen for the Sunnybank event. But let's have a look. Here we go. So this Kinrin Sankey was not expecting to see this at Sakai Company yesterday. And yeah, the client I'm with does like competing at all Japan level. And just wow. So these close-ups, the reason I've done it, I mean, again, it's not showing the full fish, but I think when you see that, you don't even need to see the full fish. It is bonkers. And I mean, yeah, not only is just every quality exceptional on it, down to the pattern level. You've got perfect Korku pattern sat under there, which again is not always essential, but when it comes off and it comes off that well, it's insane. You've got all the katasumi there. You know, look at that odame at the back; it's phenomenal. Look at the kiwa throughout, the kiwa of the beni, but even then, look at the kiwa of the sumi, where it's fully refined. All Maruzomi style. I mean, when you get Maruzomi kiwa on the sumi as well, it is just delightful. But the big quality I want to draw your attention to here with this, because it's one you may not fully know about. There's a cultural difference in that. The close up on that sumi there, I mean, this is the main thing with this. The Sankey sumi, it goes without saying. But the quality of sumi on this for a Ginrin fish is just outrageous. I can't ever remember seeing one as good. And the big reason why it looks so good is that if you notice, the sumi doesn't have any Ginrin on it. Nothing whatsoever on any part of the fish. And that, in Japan, is the way they try to do it. It's super, super hard to do. It's not easy to achieve, but that is the way they try to do it if they can. And he has executed that with these phenomenally well. Interestingly, as far as I'm aware, in England, the culture for this from a judging perspective is they want to see Ginrin on the whole thing, which yeah, I'm not even going to comment on, and I'll stand to be corrected by that, but that is what I believe I've been told in the past. But yeah, that right there is the epitome of quality in a Ginrin fish that has sumi. And yeah, I mean, just look at it. It is like true ink sat on that Ginrin, and it just works so well. It's phenomenal. And you just see them qualities over the shoulder there. And there, actually, just linking back to the Kiwa question, if you look on the first down of that pattern on the right-hand side as we're looking, you can see there's a scale that's lighter. See, that's not a concern. That will fill back in at some point for whatever reason that's happened. But yeah, this was Nisai, 57 cm as well for a Ginrin Nisai. That's just bonkers. And the body power of a typical Sakai/Sakai company fish as well. So all those characteristics considered, bundled into a Ginrin. It needs some more sumi development, so hence we're looking potentially for the Wakagoi next year, which will be March time, I believe it is. Hopefully it'll progress well by then. I think it will have progressed a lot by then, looking at what it's doing right now, a couple of months after harvesting at most. So yeah, I think all being well, if it's there and it's ready, very, very high chance of a good award with that one. It's insane. But just to share with you once more there, look, sumi sat on top of everything, the ultimate quality for Japanese and Ginrin. Amazing stuff. Really amazing stuff. Yeah, right, folks. And if you haven't seen it, you may well have done. I'm going to run the video now. It's actually about 7 minutes long on the NND Kohaku event that's coming up at Sunnybank Koi. So share that with you. I will just wait on till the end and say bye. But yeah, and if you've got any questions as well, chance them on that. But here you go. Anyway, enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed the Japan special. If you do decide to tune out, but hopefully you'll stick around. And like I say, if you can participate, you can head over to the Sunnybank Koi website on Sunday and bag yourself one of these kohaku that I'm going to be raising. And yeah, prepare yourself for some mega results come the end of March. That I can assure you.
So you may have already heard me talk about NND Kohaku by now, and how they are the one I kind of let slip a little bit, in all honesty. So yeah, I mean, the amount of time I spend at that farm is remarkable. Everything else they do, I know it like the back of my hand. But I kind of let Kohaku slip, and I know they've been at it for a long time now, since they actually started NND. You know, that very year I was actually there in Japan in the summer, helping them set up the fish house, and there was a Kohaku spawning that KB was handling. And even back then, I just didn't kind of take it seriously, in all honesty. And them guys have been plugging away ever since. And yeah, it comes to a point where I think it was last autumn when I returned to Japan after a few years away from COVID. Because of COVID, yeah, just was completely caught by this collection of fish that had kind of amassed. They're seeing the older specimens, the size they were attaining, the success. I believe it was last year they won the Nagoka Koi Show Grand Champion prize with one of their Kohaku, and yeah, couldn't ignore what I was seeing and the quality. I've had a few here, admittedly, and I've seen some really special qualities in them. There's one in particular that I own, a big one that I'm raising at the moment, and yeah, I mean, first and foremost, they're absolute powerhouses in the body aspect. But then the rest really comes in, you know, the Benny tone that they've created, quite unique from what I'm seeing, in all honesty, and real luminosity to it, but depth and just real quality. Unlike any other kind of hues of Benny that I've seen from other Kohaku breeders. So yeah, I thought it was about time I sort of had a bigger dabble with them than I had been doing. So when I was in Japan at the end of September, I was fortunate enough to or be offered to go to see one of the mud ponds of Tosai and actually be offered to select through them and get some of the fish. Now, they've had a really particularly good year this year with the spawning, so the numbers of fish they have are more than ever of quality, and these fish were fish that would have been deemed and kept as tatigoi, so probably not sold till springtime or beyond, and possibly even kept further than that. But it's the fact they had so many they were willing to part with a percentage. So I got offered the chance to pick 30 fish. Back on that trip, I got to net the pond up, see the fish, see which they were likely to be, get everything sorted there. And then, yeah, on my return in October, so towards the end of my trip in October, I got to net the pond once again and actually do my own final selection and pick the fish that were coming back, which has all been absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, at the first time of selection, these fish were 108 days old and up to 25 cm. Bonkers stuff, really bonkers stuff. And yeah, I mean, then by the time of shipping, there was fish in the pond up to 30 cm. Crazy, crazy stuff. And they've just been given the utmost best care, and that's allowed them to push on to the size that they are. So you can't forget these are still really, really exceptionally young fish. You know, I've got other Tosai here from different breeders and different farms that are sort of 12, 15 cm at the same age. So it doesn't mean by any stretch that, you know, it says anything about the long-term kind of size of the fish. That's ultimately governed by the fish, but it does highlight the potential of these, and they have that serious growth potential, growth genetics within them to really push on and crack on. So yeah, we're here at the point, got the fish back very early November. They all arrived back, the ones I'd selected, and they were looking absolutely superb. And now we're at the point where they're ready for release. So I've done an exclusive deal with Sunnybank Koi to actually release 20 pieces out for sale. That selection's already been done. The 20 fish have all been photographed and yeah, they're ready to release. So what's going to be happening with the fish? We are going to be actually selling the fish via Sunnybank Koi. They've actually purchased the 20 pieces from us. So it's a fixed price of £495. There's no other charges or anything. That's the price that you pay. They'll be sold via the Sunnybank Koi website, and they will be released on Sunday the 17th of December at 10 AM on the site. So they'll be there to purchase on a first come first served basis, and it's going to be whoever checks out first on a particular fish will actually get it. And yeah, the fish will actually reside here. They're going to stay with me to be raised through to real jumbo Tosai, and that's all happening. So they're going to stay with me until March time, the end of March, being raised intensively in one of the 1200k ponds. It's going to be a super low stocking level, and we're really going to be able to crack on and push every centimetre out of these fish. As always, they'll be raised exclusively using Saki Akari, as we do. And yeah, the aim is to just really show and highlight, you know, what can be done with these fish from the Japan side when they're given the best conditions, and from our side when they're given the best conditions as well. So what you're seeing in the fish now at this point, you cannot forget, and I stress this, how young these fish are. So the Benny is only really just starting to stretch out and emerge on the fish. They've been grown with such intensity in a mud pond, and then basically back here now in the UK where the daylight's pretty poor. So the colour's got a long way to come. So you are seeing a more orangey hue in the Benny right now, and somewhere it actually looks like the colour's receding. It's not, it's actually still spreading out at this point. You need to be aware of that. Body mass wise, they're not carrying masses of power, but that's a good thing at this point. What you need to look at is not the current shape, you need to look at the bone structure, because when you see that, you see the size potential. Cannot forget, through this growth process, they've kind of really stretched out. That's what's happened. So the process here now, they're with me at Koi Wholesale, is that's going to be length, but also body and colour development. That's really going to happen intensively over those next few months of raising. As we do with any of the grow outs, the fish come with a life guarantee, so should anything happen, your fish will be replaced. But yeah, that's it. It's exciting stuff. Very limited availability on them, and yeah, nice to partner with Sunnybank Koi on this one. Those guys are doing some pretty exceptional stuff at the minute, and yeah, you didn't want to miss out on this opportunity with these fish. So like I say, you can head over to their website to get more details on all this. The pictures will be listed up, let's say on Sunday the 17th at 10 a.m. Along with the option to buy them and proceed with a purchase. For now, that's all I've got to say on those ones, and yeah, best of luck in obtaining one, and I promise you I will do my absolute best to raise it and get the the most out of the potential that they've got.
I quite enjoyed that. It was pretty cool. I think could be a thing there. I'm not going to add it to a job list because I'll drive everyone bonkers. But it'd be nice to have a little feature video every week. But no, there you go, guys. There they are. Let's say opportunity on Sunday to grab one of those. I've just seen a little question there to end on. Good one, Craig. A lot of people over here say they don't like a red eye and a koi. I quite like it. Think it's quirky. How do they feel about it in Japan? Yeah, it really depends on what sort of red eye it is. But I mean, Japan, it's just generally quality first before they start scrutinizing something like that. But a full red eye where it covers the lens and everything can often be quite, yeah, off-putting. But when it's just covering the top of the eye, it depends. Is it isolated? Is it close to pattern? But to be fair, even if it's isolated, it can add some character at times. Depends how the rest of the pattern flows, but generally, like I say, it's focus on quality first here. So, and I think that's a different culture back home where it's more, looking at the negatives first before it really gets to the positives. So, yeah, you need to be working on training your eye the other way around. But there we go, folks. I'm off for a shower before, right, I think a coffee is well needed. But thank you to everybody who's tuned in, and stay tuned on the Nishikigoi Journal Facebook post, where I'll send most of my updates, or post most of my updates while I'm out here. And yeah, I'll catch up with you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in.